Remember when you ran away and I got on my knees and begged you not to leave because I'd go berserk? Well, you left me anyhow, and then the days got worse and worse, and now you see I've gone completely out of my mind. And they're coming to take me away, ha-ha, they're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha, to the funny farm where life is beautiful all the time, and I'll be happy to see those nice young men in their clean white coats, and they're coming to take me away, ha-ha!
You are now listening to the iWalter Show. Real talk about nothing.
That losing you would make me flip my lid. Right? You know you laughed. I heard you laugh. You laughed and laughed, and then you left. But now you know I'm utterly mad. And they're coming to take me away, ha-ha. They're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha. To the happy home with trees and flowers and chirping birds and basket weavers who sit and smile and twiddle their thumbs and toes, and they're coming to take me away, ha-ha. I cooked your food, I cleaned your house, and this is how you pay me back for all my kind, unselfish, loving deeds. Ha? Well, you just wait, they'll find you yet, and when they do, they'll put you in the ASPCA, you mangy mutt. And they're coming to take me away, ha-ha, they're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha, to the funny farm where life is beautiful all the time, and I'll be happy to see those nice young men in their clean white coats, and they're coming to take me away, ha-ha, to the happy home with trees and flowers and chirping birds and basket weavers who sit and smile and twiddle their thumbs and toes, and they're coming to take me away, ha-ha, to the funny farm where life is beautiful all the time, and I'll be happy to see those nice young men in their clean white coats, and they're coming to take me away.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain, it's a plane, it's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, a strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who, disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
All right. Hey, this is iWalter on Sunday, 8:42 p.m. on August 23rd. Hey, tonight actually is the night that, what do you call it, Fear of the Walking Dead starts. I might have to just watch it on regular TV. I was just going to basically buy it on iTunes because I won't be able to watch it on a normal basis, even though it is on actually on Sunday nights. I probably could kind of squeeze it in, I guess. But sometimes I'm doing things. Anyway, I had a really interesting day. That's why I had to pick that song, They're Coming to Take Us Away. Because after the experience I had today, and oh, by the way, because I didn't say it yet, welcome to me on the iWalter Show. I had a horrible day. I swear to God. My friend even had a worse day, though. Sorry for saying swearing, but, it was a horrible, horrible day all the way around almost. Things turned out somewhat. I'm still trying to get rid of my computer. The person who was supposed to buy it, a couple people I kind of put it their way, they don't respond back, so that's been kind of driving me a little bit crazy. One was this guy named Rich. I know my one friend Matt said he was going to ask his dad, but his dad likes to buy new stuff. I understand that. Trust me, I'd be the same way. The things I have, though, I actually make them better after I own them for a while. Before I get started, my one friend, actually, Todd, was supposed to go to a concert today. I forget which one it was, and they canceled. So he was pissed off. So he actually had the day off. He works, weekends, too. He's a manager at a retail store, and he actually made sure he had off today, and he is rudely awakened. Found out, though, at least by his brother before he went where this concert was. I can't even remember which one it was, but that would have been a nightmare if he would have drove there and found out. So now he has to see if he can get his money back. it's like one of these bands he's never seen before. I think it might have been her last tour type thing. I can't remember who. So, yeah, I forget what I was going to say, though. I did want to mention, okay, here's one thing, not about my day, but this is pretty interesting. I just added, I had her before, was Victoria Justice. Now she has some type of giveaway contest. I'd actually love to win that. I'd love to meet her again. She's like really a hot young girl, but yeah, it doesn't sound right, does it? Hot young girl. No, she's legal, trust me, folks. But yeah, she's really hot, and she's very nice. I saw her years ago at a meet and greet, and she was very pleasant. She's very funny too. I remember when she used to have this, when she was younger, she had some kids show, and it was called Victorious, and it was funny because her name is Victoria Justice, and that was really funny. It kind of reminded me back in my college days because she played this artsy student at an art school kind of setting, like where everybody was really talented. It was out in California because I kind of recognized the locations and realized it was shot on studio, even outside the studio lots for this pretend school. But it was really funny. And I really miss that show. I wish she would have kind of stuck with that for a few more years because me and I, people my age, there was a couple that actually I think enjoyed the show besides myself. People around my age bracket, so to speak. Anyway, I'm just using that like loosely, so just to not upset people. Oh, well, not everybody's 48 years old that watches that show. Well, no, because someone might be a little younger or actually a little older. Because I mentioned this before that generally it's, older people who like kid shows because they just get too offended. And like I said myself as well gets offended by a lot of this BS on TV nowadays. So anyway, it was, besides the friend, he texted me, he actually called, and then I texted him back actually about his concert getting canceled. I wonder if he has it on his Facebook page. So he said his brother told him about the concert being canceled. Maybe I can figure it out. Because I posted some stuff then too. Yeah, let's see if I can find it. Maybe I won't. Oh, by the way, I think I might have mentioned this before, but around here in Oaks, there's this rock concert, or not rock concert. Record convention. They're not as popular as they used to be back 20 years ago. I mean, it's hard to even say that, but it's true. Because I did say record convention. It's all things that rock festival. This year it's Saturday and Sunday, October 3rd and 4th, and it's at the Philadelphia Expo Center, which is right down the road. It's in Oaks. And it's really cool though because Lita Ford's going to be there. Some guy from Kiss, Ace Frehley or something. I don't even know Kiss, so I can't even say his name right. But yeah, it's kind of cool. I wouldn't mind seeing Lita Ford though. It's like $25 for a VIP ticket too. So honestly, you can't beat that. Now the friend said his brother had Facebooked him, I guess, about this. I guess I would have misunderstood him. It might have been texted him about this cancellation on this concert. Actually, let me look at my cell phone real quick. Maybe he left it on there. I don't think he did. He actually left it in a voicemail. So I'm going to look at my text real quick. And I got to turn my phone back off, too. Yeah, he just put, I really wanted to see them, never have, and aren't rescheduling. I'm pissed about my concert being canceled. So he doesn't actually mention the name of the band or whoever it was. I honestly, I couldn't tell you. So I thought I could kind of figure it out, but obviously that's not going to happen. I don't even know if his brother put it on his, my friend's brother. So I'll look at that real quick. Yeah, I'm making a big deal. I know he lives in, what do you call it? He lives my friend, he lives now in where the Amish country is. And he was about a half an hour away from there. And, yeah, the concert was canceled. I wonder if I can look it up, because now it's going to really bother me. Concert canceled. I want to say Hershey, but I don't even think. Maybe this is it. Yeah, I think this is it. 5 hours ago, Van Halen cancels concert in Hershey Park Stadium. That's got to be the one he wanted to see. Update number 2, update number 1, update number 2. I'm going to read 2 first. Hershey Entertainment's public relations manager, Melissa Stradnick has also confirmed the cancellation. Van Halen has confirmed the cancellation on their Facebook page. Yeah, that was like 5 hours ago, August. Oh, wait, this is 13th. But I thought it was this one. Maybe it's not. I think it might be, though. I think it was supposed to be Van Halen. I know he was really psyched to go see it. But yeah, I'm assuming that's what it is. Hershey cancels on Facebook. Ooh, Rick Springfield. Due to David Lee Roth suffering from a flu and the doctors recommending he rest his throat, Van Halen's concert tonight, 8/23, which is today, that was the one he was supposed to go to, at Hershey Park Stadium has been canceled. Refunds will be available at point of purchase. So I got to tell my friend that too, because I don't think he knows. He was really upset. He was looking really forward to seeing Van Halen. I don't blame him. Because, yeah, David Lee Roth was back doing this, but they canceled it. Yeah, it's funny. I guess Rick Springfield was supposed to be here. I don't know. I like Rick Springfield, by the way. I don't know if I told you this. But anyway, enough of that. Ooh, Maroon 5. Yeah, I was Dave Chappelle. God, this is getting great. Jim, I don't even know who he is. Yeah, I was going to get laundered, and my parents, I live with my parents. Yeah, I'm 48, I live with my parents. I said this a million times on a million other shows. So I figured, you know what, I'm going to go over and do some laundry today around the house. I always go to the same laundromat, and it has progressively gotten more and more trashy. The people, no offense, to go in there. And more just really scary to go in there. Like, I'm almost ready to go to the deep, dark sections of Norristown just to do laundry because it's gotten so dangerous in the areas that were actually kind of normal, not so bad to go into. And that is really scary. So I'm saying that because I went in today, there was not one car. It was like desolated because the areas around there, the businesses around this laundromat are pretty much dead. They moved out. This is in Oaks. Mainly, it was this place called, my parents like to call it, apparently that's the correct way to say it, because there was some talk show local like mine that actually, these guys that talk about the local, reminiscent about the past, they actually did say it is pronounced Genuardi's. I actually say Gennardi's. Everybody else I know says Gennardi's. But technically, if you want to be that way, you would say Genuardi's. That closed down, so there's like no business. There's no reason for anybody to be around this laundromat. There's a Dollar Tree, that's about it, and some few other places, but most of them moved out. So anyway, that being said, I was like, really, okay, hey, this is great. There's nobody here. I know it's going to start getting crowded because now that I parked my car. And I deliberately always park next to get this, I park next to a handicap spot. But you know what? Lo and behold, somebody always is capable of parking in a handicap spot and be able to walk and probably run a 50-mile, 50-mile spree, what do you call it? Run-in spree and contest and be able to, not run out of breath. But yet, a handicap, they find these handicap licenses. It's usually somebody in their family. They might have a sibling or a grandmother or somebody in their family that's actually really physically crippled, but they're not the ones using the car with the handicap thing on there. So, in my opinion, that's just a way you take advantage of just getting an easy spot. Well, this place was empty. There was nobody fucking there. So I come in there. And for first off, the person on the ones pulled up right next to me, this guy, and he looked a little bit like, to me, he didn't look on the up and up, but he's He's like, oh, yeah, I just broke my washer machine at home. My wife's pissed off at me now. And I just try to make small talk, but it was like, dude, I don't really want to be bothered by you. You kind of scare me, and no offense. So, whatever. You want to make small talk, that's fine. I'm in here. I want to get my laundry done. I want to leave. But he pulls right on top of my fucking car. There is nobody else in the fucking parking lot. The parking lot is completely empty. So only spot you can find is right on top of my car, and you have a piece of shit car, so no offense. Hopefully this guy doesn't hear this, because I don't mean any offense by everything, even though it is extremely offensive. It just really pissed me off. It's like, okay, you could be in, like my dad would say, I think he said this years ago, you could be in the middle of a desert, and there'd be nothing around you, but somehow you would walk into a pile of shit. Well, that's just my luck with people. I mean, I could be in I could be in the middle of the Sahara Desert. Nobody else would be around, but I would find some way to walk into somebody because they would come out of nowhere. And that's what it felt like. I'm sorry, I'm putting all these pictures of Supergirl on my Facebook page. She's all right looking. I would have picked somebody else, but whatever. Yeah, she's very plain Jane, but I saw the pilot episode. I broke down and watched it, so whatever. I just said that like 5 times, didn't I? So easily distracted. Got to turn off my speakers. So my parents are out there. They're probably knocking on the door when I'm in the middle of my podcast. I'm sure they will. They usually do. That's what happens when you live at home. You can't complain anybody, Walter, except yourself. You know what you need to do, and I haven't done it yet. So, hey, I said it before anybody else did. So I'm in there. Place is totally dead. It was like, okay, the first thing I'm going to do, because I'm very anal about this, I'm going to clean up the place. Do I need to clean up the laundromat when it's not my job? No, but I just don't want to put my clothes down, dirty or clean, in a place that there's shit all over the floor, remnants of whatever, and I'm not going to even remotely start because it's just going to upset me. I'm very OCD-like with that. So I clean up the place a little bit. I straighten it up. Before even that guy who comes up and he actually asked me, oh, do you work at this laundromat? It's like, no, I'm actually here to do laundry. What a shock. I know. Isn't that kind of a weird thing? You go to a laundromat to basically clean your clothes. This guy thought I went to the laundromat to actually service the place. So he somehow got that idea. And it's like, well, whatever. So that was issue number 1, and I cleaned it up, and there was nobody in there. That guy comes out of nowhere, and he parks on top of my car. It's like, okay, this guy's going to be a little annoying. So I walked out. I called somebody. I said, yeah, this guy is just irritating. He parked on top of my car, trying to make small talk with me. He's like really a little bit like, I don't know. I could see if he is truly married, which I'm sure he was, I can see why his wife was irritated with him. The guy was just had irritated me after 5 seconds. So anyway, I'm like, I'm in there trying to do my job do my job. I'm trying to clean my fucking clothes. And it's got, it was like whatever. So he might have overheard me talking about it because I went outside. I made sure to walk far away from the guy. And somehow I walked back in. He just didn't want to be bothered by me. I was like, dude, I thank you for that because I don't want to be bothered by you. Or you to bother me, I should say. So I'm like, I'm doing that. And then it gets even worse because in the place, a little bit later, I got all my stuff put all my wash in. I was like, oh, this is great. I got all my wash in the washer. I used 2 big washers. Got that done, put it in the dryer, and then lo and behold, though, unfortunately, what do you call it? My parents are home, so you're going to hear that in the background now. It looks like somebody let off a bus, somebody off of, a bus terminal down from Norristown. It was all filled with tons of families. They were all black families, and there was like 5 or 10 of them, and each of these people with one big humongous white fat lady with her black kid. And they all came in together. There was like 5 cars. All the cars each of these cars with these black families had at least 5 or 10 kids apiece. So it was wall-to-wall people. That really drove me nuts. So I'm like trying to do my laundry. And then lo and behold, what was I going to say now? Because I lost my track because now I have somebody listening in the back of me while I try to do my show. Yeah, the kids, the little kids, the black kids, they're jumping in these carts you basically put your dirty laundry in. They're these bins on wheels, and they have hangers on the top, like little things you hang your clothes up, you know, when you want to take them out of the dryer or the laundry so they don't get wrinkled. Well, the kids were jumping in there in these carts, these metal carts, and they were using them as go-karts, and they were racing them up and down the aisleway of the laundromat. So this laundromat now is wall-to-wall people. They're standing right in front of you. They're monopolizing all the washers and all the dryers, which I was already done using. So it was really aggravating, and they were just, everywhere I walked, they were just there. Everywhere, if I got up out of a chair, they were sitting in a chair or like monopolizing that area. All the carts, again, the kids were using them as go-karts. Then on top of it, they were also racing up and down. They were like running underneath my feet. I'm not even kidding. So I was like, I got to get out of here. So I kept on trying to do my wash or my, getting it into the dryer. Thank God I got this really big dryer. It was like $2.50. And it was perfect because it was like a supersized one. And I was able to throw everything in there, all my darks and whites, even though I had them separated in the washers. So that was nice. But when I got towards the end, it was like, okay, now they're monopolizing my washers that I was done with, but also they're hanging out like it's a hangout in front of the dryer I had to get my clothes out of. Plus, they had all the carts monopolized. There was like 10 of them in there. All of them, they had something in there. And if it wasn't their kids using them as go-karts, they had them piled with clothes. It's like, yeah, you use those as transportation. You don't use those as your own personal device for whatever the fuck you want to do. So that really irritated me. And I apologize. This show's going to be fragmented because I, usually don't have an live audience on the outside of my little studio thing, kind of slamming doors and stuff. So I apologize about this tonight. That's why my voice has changed its tone. So anyway, I get to the end of doing my laundry. I'm going to cut this short, and I'm like trying to fold my clothes. I actually had to ask permission. Can I have one of these carts? Are you going to, you got like 3 of them in front of you, this big fat black lady. Can I take one of them away from you? Oh, yeah, sure, you can. I was like, well, why do you have them like that? And there's this part in this laundromat that it's a lost and found part. It's way in the back of this laundromat. It's not that big to begin with, but it's big enough. And there's a part where they throw clothes, which they actually finally cleaned them. I guess they must have gave them to Goodwill or something. This table, there's like 2 tables in the very back of this laundromat, and they keep that open for people who forget their clothes. If you forgot your clothes and you left them at the laundromat, they have a lost and found. It was like, okay, this is wall-to-wall people just walking in front of me. I'm going to go back to the lost and found. I'm going to fold my clothes back there where it's safe. So I do that, and what happens, the one black family with 5 of their kids, they decided, okay, you know what, this guy's trying to like get out of here and fold his clothes. Let's have our kids run around his feet and play with his cart while he's trying to fold his clothes. And there was also like some arcade game system back there, like with old classic arcade games. It was like something you don't see anymore. And it had old games like Donkey Kong, Pac-Man, all in the same game thing. So it was like, okay, you weren't back there before, but as soon as I walked back to the back of the place, where not only these vending machines were, which they weren't even interested in before, they were when I started folding my clothes. And then on top of it, I'm trying to like just ignore them because they were really driving me nuts that they had to now hang out from where I was to where I went, which was I was at my dryer pulling out my clothes. They had to run to the back and made sure they were right on top of my feet. And again, the kids were literally running over my feet, these little black kids. So it was like, okay, this is really irritating. I just want to get out of here at this point. So the one guy's like telling his kid, they keep on putting quarters in this machine that also pulls out those stupid toys. And the one guy, the black guy, says to his kid, he says, "Oh, do you want a banana? Do you want a banana? Do you want a banana?" And it was driving me crazy. It was like, give the fucking kid a banana for Christ's sakes, or just get out of here. So even when I try to leave, This black woman with her kids just stood there staring into space, blocking my way of getting out the aisleway. So I was trying to take this cart that I had borrowed from this one black woman, and she's just standing there, and she won't even look at me, like seeing that I got my hands filled with 2 bags of laundry, folded laundry, and the cart that I used for, the wet laundry I had taken out. I was going to put it back so somebody else could use it from the back of this laundromat. So she doesn't move, and it was like, you know what? I finally gave up. She would not move. She wouldn't even look at me. And I was even saying, excuse me. So I finally got to the point. It was like, you know what? Screw it. I'll leave the fucking cart in the back. And I just walked out and left the cart there. You know what? Of course, once I walked around this big, huge, fat black woman, she did move after I left. So it's just like people wonder why you get annoyed by them. And even though they're the ones annoying you, and getting in your way and just standing there and not moving, it's your fault. So it was like, okay, that was a nightmare. When I was talking about these black kids in there, these little kids from these black family, it was even better yet, because as soon as they walked through the door, this one kid, it looked like that those comedies with black people. I don't mean anything by this. I can't remember, like, where the really fat little kids. Well, these kids were huge. They were little kids. They were way overweight. And the one kid is not only like, and when I first came in, was running up and down trying to jump in the cart and use it as a go-kart. But the dad came up and he says, you can't do that. You can't hang on it. It's going to get hurt. So the kid started screaming and crying and kicking the father, the black father and stuff. And it was like, I felt bad for that guy though. And it was like, but you got to like learn how to control your kids and maybe possibly not feed them as much, because those kids are like grossly overweight for like little 5-year-old kids. So the whole thing was just a nightmare. And I finally got to the point that when I got out of there, the entertainment didn't start because the one black family decided to actually let their kids, they had them all in the back seat sitting in a hot car. Now, they did have the windows down, but I hate to tell you, you had like 5 kids in the back of your car while you're doing laundry, and they were parked in the, in the handicap spot, and the woman was not fucking handicapped. So that was another thing that just drove me nuts. It was like, okay, you got your kids, they're in this hot fucking car, and you're not, you're making them sit there, these poor kids. And every time I walk by, they like fill up my car. These kids are going, hi, hi, hi. And it was like, okay, enough already. I mean, the kids were cute, but you don't keep, and you hear about this on the news where you find these kids, basically they're dead because their parents like leave them locked in the fucking car. Well, here's a good example. And it was at this laundromat. And again, when I first got there, all the parking spots were open. There was no one there anywhere in the parking any of the parking spots. And as soon as I got there, not too long afterwards, when I left, every parking spot was filled. Even the handicap ones, which are only meant for handicapped people. So, that was the highlight of my day. And I wouldn't even call it a highlight because it was more of a nightmare. So, and these people, even this one guy was really irritating, and they acted like they were irritated with me. And it's like, I hate to tell you, you're the one who is, standing on top of me, not let me leave, not let me walk around, and acting like I did something wrong. So, it was, to say the least, it was very annoying. And I don't know. And you wonder why, like, people, I don't know. I can't even think anything to say. Wow, this lady's got big. Sorry, I'm looking at some woman's page. I think her name's Aritha Miss or something. She's really hot. An older lady, too. Much older lady. But I'm going to go back before I really get distracted again, which I already have. But that was the highlight of my day. All the way around, it was just a nightmare. So, sorry, I just bumped my windscreen for my mic. Not a windscreen. It's basically, it helps for me spitting on the screen. I'm just going to look through a couple things and I'll call it a night because I don't know how I sound at this point. I will look. And hopefully it's not too bad. Yeah, the levels go really low. I hope I can play back. It's not going to sound as bad as it looks. So anyway, there was an article in Radio Times. This was pretty interesting. I put it on my Facebook today. And it actually said, let me see if I can move this a little bit and see if that helps. Okay, yeah, it's really low. I'll check back and see what I sound like. A new series of Blackadder is on the cards, says Tony Robinson. So that'd be pretty cool because that's Rowan Atkins. I think he did 2 seasons? The man who played Baldric is in 4 series of Rowan Atkins comedies. Says he has spoken to the rest of the cast and appears hopeful that the comedy classic could be revived. So it looks like, okay, it was on for 4 seasons. Could Blackadder return from the dead in a new series? When the BBC comedy finished it in 1989 with the apparent death of the cast in the trenches of the First World War, there has been the occasional reunion but no series. But now Tony Robinson, the Time Team presenter who played the lovable Fortum Baldric, has revealed that the new series of the comedy written by Ben Elton and Richard Curtis is a distinct possibility. I'm just going to read this one other thing. If you want to read it again, it is on Radio Times, because it says something about, I do think a new series of Blackadder is in the cards, the 69-year-old told The Sun. I have spoken to virtually all the cast about this now. So I guess the main guy who wrote, I thought it might have been Rowan Atkins was that age. I don't think he is, but yeah, it was on until 89, so that was pretty weird. Alrighty. I got a couple of got a lot of pictures of women this time on my Facebook, no articles. August 23rd, that's today, right? Okay, yeah. Shelley Long, today is her birthday, so happy birthday to her. This was funny. A friend sent it to me, so I made obviously a lewd comment back. In New York Times, he sent this article. 69-year-old tries to start topless movement in Times Square. It's not a very lovely sight, by the way, because there is a picture of this older woman. I'll keep it at that. A 69-year-old woman hung out topless in the Times Square on Saturday in bare-chested solidarity with the... Okay, I can't pronounce that word, so I'm not going to even pretend. Sorry about that. Matt will get a kick out of that. Matt, you should get a kick out of it. I hope you do. I've been a feminist since the age of 12. Well, she's not looking 12 anymore. Claire Hager, a former criminal defense lawyer, told the Post, "This is the first time in my life I've done this. I'm trying to get 1,000 women to join me." Well, hopefully the 1,000 women do not look like this lady who's 69. I hate to say it. The Manhattan resident lashes out against Mayor de Blasio, vows to prevent semi-naked painted women from turning the crossroads of the world into an outdoor jiggle joint. It feels nice, actually. I'm going to try to say her name. Hagner said, if it were really hot, I'd be saying, why haven't I done this all my life? Basically just hanging out, not wearing anything. So, yeah. Oh, my friend sent me this. I guess I might as well talk about this real quick. Daily Times newspaper. It's actually delcotimes.com. Decomposed bodies found in Upper Darby home. A friend had sent this to me, my friend Todd. Upper Darby, the decomposed bodies of a man and a woman were found Saturday afternoon inside a row home on Millbank Road in the Stonehurst Hills section of the township. Police have tentatively identified the 8-year-old woman and 72-year-old man who lived in the home and are awaiting an autopsy results to determine the cause of death. I'm sure it was natural causes. The male and the newspaper were stacked up outside the door, and the female was last seen on August 15th. And the male was seen on August 17th. Chitwood said when the officers responded, the house was locked. uptight, and the air conditioner in the back was running. I wonder if they're going to have to pay for that electric bill after they passed away. Maybe it kept the bodies a little bit less stenchy, though. When the officers responded to the house, which was locked, uptight, and their air conditioner in the back was running, but they could not smell the odor of a body decomposing. They used a bar to open the door and put on crime scene suits with respiratories to enter the house. It says they observed the badly decomposed bodies in the living room. The female was sitting on the couch, and the male was on the floor in front of her with his head on her lap. The police backed out, and the fire company was called in to bring heavy-duty fans to get a search warrant. I don't know if you need a search warrant when the people are already dead. Sorry about that. This is a word I can't get out. Preliminary. It looks like he may have died and fell on top of her. Chitwood said he learned. Sorry about that. We learned she has been ill and used a walker and he was caring for her. So bottom line is they might have died around the same time. Maybe he did first or she did first. I don't know. And they might have died pretty much around the same time, because what it's trying to say is that he actually might have fell on top of her. Well, maybe he found her dead and just a shock killed him. I don't know. Anyway, it says neighbors said that they thought they smelled gas all week, but they were smelling gas from the decomposition of the bodies. The township brought in a forensics cleaning service to clean the house. The neighbors should have checked in on them sooner once they saw the mail and the newspapers piling up. And I'm sorry, I did kind of mess that up a little bit. So, this was pretty interesting. I saw this. It was an article on Movie Pilot. It says 15 years later, this insane Final Destination Easter egg has been found. And it says, go find it. And what it was, one thing they said was the names of the characters were named after classic horror characters or something like that. I'll read in a minute. It was something on that line. Okay, I just lost my article. But it was on Movie Pilot. It says, 15 years later, again, I finally found this insanely cool Easter egg in Final Destination. This was posted on the 19th of August. They're actually going to make I saw this. They're going to make a Final Destination 6. That's kind of wild. In Final Destination, Death had a design. Turns out so did the scriptwriters. I guess I should feel bad for not noticing the cool horror fans reference hidden in plain sight in the first Final Destination movie. I was only 13 at the time. That was obviously not me, though. Since then, I've seen billions more horror movies, and I've noticed one pretty cool thing after watching Final Destination. Again, I just bought those on Blu-ray, like the first 4 of them, because I really like those. And I haven't watched them yet. I probably won't be watching them for a long time. The characters are all named after classic figures in horror cinema. So I try to figure this out. I can't figure out who they are, because I was looking at the names of the characters, but they're named after classic figures in horror cinema. That's the Easter egg. Here's a reminder of the characters we are looking at in one of the greatest horror set pieces of the 21st century. I guess he goes through them. Alex Browning, played by Alex Browning, actually came from Todd Browning's Freaks. Okay, so he does give you the Easter eggs. So the character of Alex Browning was Todd Browning's Freaks. That's what it was named after. Agent Wine was actually named after Robert Wine, who actually did The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. So, okay, I didn't know that. Agent Shrek. I'm not going to name the actors because I'll just screw those up even more. I'm already ruining it enough. Secret agent Agent Schreck was actually named after Max Schreck. And Max Schreck played Count Orlok in the iconic 1922 silent horror Nosferatu. That's kind of right. Todd and George Wagner, named after George Wagner, who was the director of 1941's black and white monster movie, The Wolfman. So that is really cool. Okay, there was a character named Bill Hickok. Oh, Hitchcock. Billy Hitchcock. He was actually played by Sean William Scott. That's the only one I can actually read. Named after Alfred Hitchcock. So Billy Hitchcock was named, the character was made out of Alfred Hitchcock. So Terry Chaney, played by Amanda Detmer, was named after Lon Chaney, the classic star who played in Phantom of the Opera in 1925, and also the infamous lost horror movie London After Midnight in 1927. Larry Morneau was a character in the movie. He was named after F.W. Morneau, director of the semi-silent horror Nosferatu in 1922. So I did not notice. Krista Marsh, the character Krista Marsh, and now I'm going to go back because I've been talking so long, in Final Destination, her character was made out of Carol Marsh. Who was she? Actress Carol Marsh played girl-turned-vamp in Lucy Homewood, along with Christopher Lee in Hammer's 1958's Dracula. So the character of Lisa Marie Charwick was actually named after Carol Marsh. I don't really got that. But yeah, these characters, that one I don't see it though. Lisa Marie Charwick was named after Carol Marsh. I don't get that one. Blake Dreyer was named by Christian. Oh, she was played by Christian Chaitlin. But anyway, Blake Dreyer was actually named after Carl Theodore Dreyer. Now that one is who was he? That was a Danish director who made Vampira. I think it's Vampira, 1932. One of the first horror movies to use the story based upon The Glass Darkly by Sheldon Lee Faneuil. Faneuil, is it? But it says the story is based upon In a Glass Darkly. And, so... But it's a woman's picture, though. But it says... So, it's Christine Chaitlin. I think it looks like Chaitlin. Basically, that character, Blake Dreyer. Oh, okay. I'm sorry about that. Christian Chaitlin is the woman who plays this character, Blake Dreyer. It looks like Dreyer. And basically, that character was influenced, or they made the character out of that, by the looks of it, from this Danish director, who was also... No, actually, I don't see him, so I'm sorry. But again, check it out. It's on moviepilot.com. You can kind of make something out of this crazy mess that I just had spoken about and destroyed. Anyway, the next one was Valerie Luton. Yeah, the one's pretty obvious. Valerie Luton, played by Kristen Cloak, named after Val Luton. So, okay, that one is very obvious. And they ask, who is he? So these are women with men's names, or they changed it slightly enough to make it a woman's name. Who was he, this Val Luton? Well, it says producer of many seminal some RKO pictures such as I Walk with a Zombie, 1943, and Jake's Turner's Cat People, 1942. So the character of Valerie Luton was actually changed, or was the name was influenced by this director who made Val Luton, who made this movie called I Walk with a Zombie. Excuse me. So anyway, I could have made that shorter, but I was just trying to, I guess, try to read it. And the whole thing was that this movie had Easter eggs in there that the characters were actually named after somebody who directed or, somehow was affiliated with classic horror movies from like the early turn of the last century, because now we're in the 21st century. Can't say, oh yeah, the 20th century. That's past. We're in the 21st. It's hard to even believe that, though. So I thought that was pretty cool. So even though I completely sabotaged it, I'm going to see. You know what? They keep on putting this on here too. This was on Movie Pilot. I had talked about this place literally called Dismal Land Amusement Park. B-Amusement Park. Not an amusement park, B-Amusement Park. This one picture is really surreal. I thought it was a painting, but I think it's actually for real. But you look at it, it literally looks like a painting, but it's like a three-dimensional painting. And I think it's Cinderella in the pumpkin, but she's dead, and the things turn over, the carriage, and the horse is dead. But you look at that part, it does. It looks like a painting, but there's people with real cameras taking photos of it. And you could stare at it for hours because I can't figure out the paint. If it, again, it is a paint. It's not a painting, but it looks like a painting. You'd have to just look at the picture. Anyway, it's titled "Let's Go to Dismal Land, Kids." The Banksy Amusement Park is the unhappiest place on earth, and you can visit it. Now, that was posted on the 21st. Diz, when you see these three letters put together, you think Disney. Am I right? Well, after reading through this article, you are bound to think of a new Dismaland. Yes, yes, you will read correctly. It is quite the opposite of Disneyland. So it's basically the complete reverse of Disneyland. I mean, it's very abstract, very morbid, you name it. That's Disneyland. It's no joke. Okay, it's in the UK, by the way, too. For folks who have Apple iPhone 6 Pluses, this was posted on Mashable. And this was the other day. I actually tried to send to a friend. Apple will finally replace blurry iPhone 6 Plus cameras. Apparently there was a problem. I checked mine out. I did not have that problem. It wasn't your imagination that iPhone 6 Plus, the iPhone 6 Plus you had purchased, seemed to produce oddly blurred images. It may have been one of the defective phones. Now Apple's offering to replace the back of the camera in the device. So it says Apple new iSight camera replacement program covers iPhone 6 Plus devices purchased between September 2014 and January 2015. According to the company, it addresses a defect that impacted only a small number of iPhones. So if you check that out on Mashables, there is a serial number and there's a link to tell you where to go to get your phone fixed. So I did check mine out. I actually had my phone replaced not too long ago because I had some problems. I forget what it was. There was something like severely wrong with my iPhone 6 Plus. It's actually the second one I had, but the first one was because it was a T-Mobile phone. And believe it or not, my T-Mobile one had no problems. And when I changed to Verizon, I had problems with the phone. And also, I noticed, by the way, this is just a little dig, but the only thing I don't like about Verizon, you can get your phone calls. They sound really good. You're not going to. I had drop calls with T-Mobile, but the thing was, when I had T-Mobile, I had excellent internet service. I had horrible phone service. Now that I have Verizon, I have excellent phone service, but horrible internet service. Is that right? So one T-Mobile data plan, the data reception was phenomenal. I got it everywhere that nobody else could ever get it. And with their phone service, it was horrible. It was the worst I've ever had. And then because I always had phone calls dropping left and right. So, and I used the data just as much as I used the phone. So when I changed from T-Mobile to Verizon, I had the reverse effect. Like now I get great phone calls, but most of the time, 99.9% of the time. But now if I try to use data, forget it. It's just a waste. I can't get a signal anywhere for data. And it doesn't make any sense. So, so if you have one of those iPhones, you can check it out. And it is on Mashables. And see if your phone, if you had that issue, you should be able to replace for absolutely free. This was pretty funny, by the way. I'm not going to read it. Hopefully not. It was on Mashables also. Even Marilyn Manson's dad likes to embarrass his son, and it's basically showing his dad dressed up like Marilyn Manson. The whole makeup, the get-up, the black. He's got leather pants on. And he's just like embarrassing his son because one picture, his dad, Marilyn Manson's dad, is grabbing his crotch on the photo, and it just embarrasses the man who you don't think you could embarrass. So those pictures are pretty funny. I won't even read it. I promised I wouldn't, so I won't, so I'm not going to ruin it. There was one on Movie Pilot, and it says, it might surprise you which iconic horror movie slasher has killed the most victims. Which classic horror movie icon do you think has killed the most victims over the course of his long, grisly franchise? Just to make things interesting, why don't you guys take a vote before reading the answers below? Well, it says Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, total kills 59. Total movies 7. Kill per movie average was 8.4. Jigsaw, you would think, could probably be up there. Check out this awesome compilation of Leatherface kills in the 90s. But Jigsaw, total kills 87, total movies 7, kills per movie 12.4. That is pretty high. Next one would be no shock. It is Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street. Total kills 93, total movies 9. Kills per movie 10.3. Next one is Michael Myers in Halloween. Total kills 157. There you go. Total movies 10. Kills per movie 15.7. You know what? They left out. That movie had the most kills, I think. There was only 3 of them, though. That's probably why I didn't put it in here. Was those movies of Hatchet. That guy killed more people in one movie than, the third one. The second one was horrible. It was just like Bloodfest City. Anyway, the next one is Pinhead. That was number 2. Hellraisers. Total kills 112. Total movies 9. Kills per movie average was 12.4. And here's my man, Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th. Total kills, he's the winner, I think. 222 if you want to remove all the deaths from the first movie. It's still 111 because Jason was in the first movie. Total movies, 12. Kills per movie average 18.5. The man had won the record, Jason Voorhees, for doing the most murders. Manslaughter. Is that amazing? No, not really. I guess not. Movie Pilot. This was an interesting. I did not read this, and probably I should not. 13 actors and directors who regret their comic book movie roles. According to various pseudo-psychologists, there are 5 stages of grief which must be traversed before a person comes out stronger and more well-rounded. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. I think that word was actually psychiatrist. I'm not sure the whereabouts of Josh Trek is in relation to the failure of the Fantastic Four reboot, But I'd probably say still he's lingering around the denial and anger part. In fact, he might even be there for a while. Recently, the director took to Twitter to complain about the studio's interference in his vision of the Fantastic Four, essentially blaming them for the catastrophe failure of the movie. Well, you know what? You don't change and make the characters politically correct. That is your main problem there, dude. The tweet, which was deleted rapidly afterwards, but captured for posterity by a nimble-fingered internet user, claimed he had a brilliant script that would have lit up Hollywood. However, he implies it was somehow vetoed by the powers that be, he said. So apparently, this guy Josh Trank, his tweet that was taken down said, "A year ago, I had a fantastic version of this, and it would have received great reviews. You'll probably never see it. That's reality, though." And of course, Trank isn't the first person to ever trash a superhero movie they've worked on, but he probably in the first person to be the first person to do it before the movie even was released. According to the independent trash little 140 character indiscretion probably cost Fox $10 million on the opening night. Other directors and actors who disowned or subsequently derailed their superhero efforts at least waited several months and years before confessing their sins. Dorkly recently trawled through the annual of Super, doomed to find some of them. Let's take a look. So I'm going to go just maybe through the names. I'm not going to read the little things underneath because you can tell I'm having a real hard time reading this. So the first one was Rotten Tomatoes with giving it 11%, and that was Batman and Robin, which actually didn't do that bad. That's the one with George Clooney, which I actually did enjoy. But Batman and Robin was the number one on this list of movies that failed, even though it's at the box office, it made $238 million. Well, that's because, well, actually, no, that's not bad. It was box office was $238 million, but it cost $125 million to make. So it made a little bit of a profit. Number two was X-Men Origins with X-Men Origins Wolverine. That got 38%, and the box office was $373 million, and the budget was $150 million. But now they're calling these like box office, or call them failures. They're not failures. Now, what do you call it was a failure, though, by the way? And that's an open and shut case. Was that Fantastic Four? Number three was Green Lantern. Rotten Tomatoes gave it 26%. The box office was $219 million, and it cost $200 million to make. So yeah, there I can kind of see that, even though it wasn't that bad of a movie. Spider-Man 3. Rotten Tomatoes gave it 63%. It looks like $890 million is that, and it cost $258 million budget-wise. So unless I'm looking at those numbers wrong. But they're saying that was a failure. Maybe I'm just looking at the numbers wrong. I don't know. Maybe I was 890. No, it had to be million. Maybe it was 108. Maybe it was less than $1 million. I don't know. I'm not going to even try to pretend I know how to read that number. The next one was Daredevil. Rotten Tomatoes gave it 44%. And it said 179, I assume million, but it said it was 78 million budget. That's the one with Ben Affleck. So it actually wasn't that bad. I thought it was interesting. I didn't love it. I don't like it as much as the new TV series. But I thought Ben Affleck did a pretty good job. I know the one friend who's a big Daredevil fan, he actually really liked it. I think he did. Catwoman, yeah, that was kind of a disappointment. That actually, Rotten Tomatoes gave that 9%. And I don't know if I'm looking at these. Maybe that's 82,000, but it looked like 82 million. And it was a $100 million budget. So, yeah, but they're basically saying that was a failure. Now, this is funny because I'm going to have to interject on this one. I might even have to read it. But it says Superman Returns. Rotten Tomatoes gave it 76%, made $391 million, I think, but the budget was $270 million. Bryan Singer, it wasn't what I needed to be, I guess. I think I could loop the first quarter of and start the movie a bit more aggressively and maybe find a way to start the movie with the jet disaster sequence or something. I could have grabbed the audience a little more quickly. I don't know what would have helped. Probably nothing. If I could do it all again, I would probably would do an origin, and he basically said I would reboot it. Now that one has, which I saw in person, Superman Returns. I saw that actor in person. I said, Brandon Roth. I said to him in person, and I didn't mean it in the mean way, but the friend laughed at it. But I literally told, because he's a really nice man, don't get me wrong. I actually said face to face down in Philly when I saw him at the comic book convention. I asked Brandon Roth, I said, so you carry the Superman curse because this movie bombed? And he says, oh, no, it's not cursed, this movie. He says, my career is not cursed. And I was like, yeah, but it kind of is. You've gotten like shitty movies after doing Superman. And don't get me wrong, I thought Brandon Roth did a really good job, but I actually said that, I didn't mean it in the mean way. It just came out. If you notice from my shows, I say things I don't mean. It comes out of my mouth. I don't know. I can't stop myself. I know I can, but I don't. So I said that to Brandon Roth. I said, you got the Superman curse. Like, you're jinxed for life now after doing this movie. And I felt really bad, but again, the friend in the background was laughing. So... Now, this is a shock, too. It's actually got on the list Iron Man 2, which I thought was really good. I'm not going to even pretend to read the numbers and actually know what I'm saying as far as percentages on money, because I think those things I was quoting as millions was actually thousands of dollars, which that would be really bad. So, but yeah, that was shocking because that's the one, the second one was with, Mickey Rourke. And I know a lot of people liked that film. So I don't know why they were saying that was a big mistake. Anyway, number 9 was G.I. Joe, The Rise of the Cobra. Well, I just couldn't stand those movies to begin with, so I'm not going to even say anything. Simply because when I think of G.I. Joe, I think of those action figures that were 12 inches high and what I had when I was a kid back in the 70s. So I kind of dismiss that whole G.I. Joe thing anyway. The next one, which I think is a total not right, it got a really low rating on Rotten Tomatoes, 29%. And believe it or not, number 10 was The Punisher. I thought that movie was awesome. So the next one is Thor, The Dark World. Now, that's another one I have to disagree with because I don't like superhero movies that much anymore because there's just too many of them. And I actually did like it. I did like the Thor movies. So... I'm not going to say anything else, even though they said, it wasn't that great. It was a flop, basically. I don't know how. According to this. So, and that was the end. Thor was the last one with The Dark World. Those movies were kind of cool. I really liked those. Yeah, I'm going to say maybe just one more story, and then I'm going to give a little plug to my friend again. So this was on a Daily Mail. This is something totally different, not with entertainment. It was really heart-wrenching. And it was this kid who gets a mechanical arm. His mom's in tears because the kid was born, I think, with one arm. Like, it was just like a birth defect. So, and they used a reference from, now makes me want to buy this, $6 Million Man, that they could rebuild this kid. He literally now has a bionic arm. The kid's like ecstatic. The mom was in tears. It's from England. It says, we can rebuild him. We have the technology. A bullied schoolboy who was born without his right arm, which I couldn't survive with because I used that for, late at night. I use my right arm a lot. Well, at least my wrist and my hand. Becomes the first child in the UK to get a bionic arm. And it is really cool. I mean, honestly, the first thing I did not think about when I saw this article was $6 Million Man. You know what I thought about? Now, if you're a Star Wars fan, you should think of this right away. What about, basically, who was that? God, I'm going to get his name wrong. It's been so long. The Jedi. I'm going to look that up. Star Wars. Yeah, I'm really bad, so. I'm trying to look up. Isn't that pretty bad? Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker. Yes, I did forget that. Yeah, you can shoot me for this now. Luke Skywalker. Remember that when Darth Vader slices off Luke Skywalker's hand and he gets it replaced from a mechanical hand? Well, that's the first thing I thought of with this kid when he has a mechanical arm. I didn't think of Bionic Man. So anyway, it says, I'm going to mess up his name. Josh Cathcart became the first Brit to be fitted with a new child-sized bionic hand. The iLim Quantum allows him to build Lego, give thumbs up, and open bottles. The 9-year-old, born without a right hand, had been bullied for his disability. That's horrible. So, yes, this kid now has a right arm and a right hand, because when he gets older, we're going to have to change the bionic arm, obviously, to go with his growth periods. But the bottom line is now this kid has an arm that he never had. He was not born with one. So, yeah, that was really touching. So, I definitely liked it. So, yeah, what else can I say? I'm sorry, I got distracted again. And somebody had... Wow. My favorite woman. Sorry about that. It was a story I got distracted by. Mila Jovovich. Well, you know, the one who plays in Resident Evil movies. They got pictures of her in spandex, so, you know... I'm right there. You know, spandex, hello, I'm there. So anyway, I was going to leave and go at... I want to put this up on my thing now. Sometimes that hasn't been working lately. My posting things on Facebook from elsewhere. And see if this works. And no, it didn't. Daily UK. It should have. Yeah, I was going to say again... you know, I mentioned this yesterday, and he seemed to really appreciate it, so I'm going to do it again for him. My friend Matt, he actually has his own music business. So if you go to musicteacherguy.com, I mentioned this yesterday, he's got a couple different links. Easy to find on Google, or as my dad would say, he calls it Google's. You can find him, and I'm going to pull that up again. I'm going to put on the Music Teacher Guy, musicteacherguy.com. So I'm doing that right now. Check my levels, too, because they've been they're really low. Okay, yeah, his original website for my friend Matt, it was called just themusicteacherguy.com. But if you actually just put in musicteacherguy.com, you can pull up his newer page. He's got a couple different pages. But his phone number is 610-804-6968, and it's the Music Teacher Guy, but actually it's Music Teacher Guy, too. Let me go into Google, because I said that myself. I'm not doing as good of a job as I did yesterday on... Yeah, okay, yeah. You can either go to my friend Matt, his one webpage is musicteacherguy.com or themusicteacherguy.com. And he's really good because, again, he's very fair. You can even pay online. I believe, yeah, his rates and policies, I'm going to read those again. Rates at $99 per month for a weekly 30-minute lesson, or $199 per month for a 60-minute lesson per week, which is not bad at all. He says if you have two students in the same household, 60-minute weekly lessons may still be purchased for the $199 a month. So that's not bad at all. And the time may be divided between both students, each of whom will receive 30 minutes of the lesson time. Lessons must occur on the same day and be back-to-back, because he's got a lot of, clientele at this point. And now this is one thing I did forget about for Matt yesterday. He says if in a particular month it happens that there's a fifth week in that month, there's no extra charge, and you get a fifth lesson for free that month. So the only thing is, I think if I remember correctly, if you cancel, you still have to pay, I guess, because you're paying up front. But he does say on here, there are no credit, no refunds given to a missed or canceled lesson, except in an unusual circumstance that the canceled that may have caused the lesson to be canceled. So I assume what Matt is saying, like if you had a death in the family or something that just came up unexpectedly, yeah, I think Matt would kind of take that in consideration. But again, his prices are really good. You know, again, the rate's $99 a month for a 30-minute lesson, so that's 4 lessons a month, and $199 if you want a 60-minute lesson for every week, which is really nice because he'll work with you. He's very understanding. You know, his information's on there. You can just fill out online you can even touch him on his music teacher guide.com page and just, fill in like your basic information, tell him what you want or what you're looking for. And he will get back to you. Trust me. But again, his phone number is 610-804-6968. And it basically says, ask for Matt, the music teacher guy. So, that is for Matt. I hope you enjoyed my show. I am going to be leaving now because I got to kind of unwind before tomorrow and I go back to my hellish work again and see what it's going to be, what I'm going to have to encounter tomorrow. So everyone, I hope you enjoyed my show. I am signing off for now. Try to be back tomorrow. Have a good one.